Gaza and the people of Israel, that we see their plight, the devastation they are facing, and the need to find ways to get more urgent help to them given the gravity of their despair and to deal with the causes of that despair. Any life lost is a tragedy. There is no hierarchy of death. Yet the critical reason for how we got here has already been forgotten by so many, as if it never happened. But just 2 weeks ago, Hamas terrorists killed over 1,400 Israelis, not even mentioned in the comments by my friend from Jordan, with their own hands and weapons, and wreaked sheer terror on the people of Israel. The ongoing threats of Hamas, Iran, its proxy Hezbollah, and others continue to hang over the entire region. Since that day, October 7th, over 7,000 Palestinians. And just 3 days ago, when I spoke to the Security Council, it was over 5,000. So we can see the need for a rapid response from this organization to deal with the humanitarian crisis. Those who have been living under Hamas's tyranny have been killed, and over 1 million are displaced. This is what has prompted this body, this emergency special session, into action. We
acknowledge the considerable efforts deployed by the drafters to take into account the comments. And we are grateful for those efforts, which have certainly made it possible to considerably improve the text. Unfortunately, Canada cannot support the text as it's currently proposed. We cannot act as a General Assembly of the United Nations without acknowledging the terrible events of the 7th of October and without condemning the terrorists who are responsible for this. And that is why Canada is presenting an amendment to the resolution presented here with a view to condemning the terrorist attacks carried out by Hamas of the 7th of October and the hostage taking which continues. If the amendment is not adopted, not only will the Security Council, not only will they not have acted following this violence, but this organ will adopt a resolution which doesn't even mention anywhere the organization which is responsible for one of the worst terrorist attacks in history, and we will all have to live with that failure while the tragedy continues to unfold.
The purpose of this amendment is quite straightforward. It is not by any means a whitewash of anybody. Facts are facts. On October 7th, Hamas committed acts of terror by killing and kidnapping innocent men, women, and children. We in this assembly have an obligation to name two things not mentioned in the draft resolution: the organization that bears responsibility for those events and its consequences, and the deliberate cruelty of the murders and the hostage-taking that is still underway. Our amendment does just that, no more and no less. The actions of a terrorist organization are not to be confused with the will of the Palestinian people. Nothing and no one can justify the terror that Hamas has unleashed. We continue to call for the immediate release of hostages and demand that they and all civilians be treated with compassion and humanity. 41 member states have nationals being held hostage. What is undeniably an ongoing war crime has to be brought to an end. We all understand in this chamber that war has rules. We share a common obligation to protect civilians, to respect international humanitarian law, ensure that aid workers are safeguarded in all circumstances. Civilian deaths in Gaza, including of employees of the United Nations itself are tragically and unacceptably high, and we urge the steps required to deal with the rapidly deteriorating humanitarian situation. Unimpeded access to assistance is essential, which is why we specifically endorse the need for humanitarian pauses.